am Andi the Knittress, and this is my little show where I like to talk about yarn. If you're new here, I don't really have a game plan of how things go, kind of just whatever. And if you're not, thank you for sticking around with my craziness. It's been probably about a month since I filmed, and I have a house full of people today because it's summer and it is very hot in the Pacific Northwest, like record-breakingly hot. So we have our air cranked up and everybody is indoors. All my kids, my kid has a friend over, my mom is visiting, so if you hear outside noises, that's what it is. It's people noises, it's living. I can't expect everything to be silent. So let's jump right in. I have lots and lots of things to show you. Let's start with the only thing I have finished that was hand knit. These are my There's a Beetle in My Juice socks. This yarn is from Pretty Twisted Yarns, and this was a custom colorway she dyed up for me. That is available in her shop because it was super popular. When I found out that she did custom colorways, and I'm like, can you please dye me a Beetlejuice colorway? Because I love Beetlejuice. It's one of my favorite movies. So if you see here, like this little blip is like my favorite spot in the yarn. That and like this little orange when the color changes to each other. You got the black and white, like the sandworm, and I put contrasting heels and toes in a green that I had. It was a little like Smarties by Knitted Wit, and I just love them. Pretty Twisted Yarns is Teresa. She lives in Florida. She does spectacular self-striping yarn. And self-striping yarn is hard to dye. Like, well, it's not hard to dye, like actually dye, but there's so much prep that goes into that. Hands together for those of you that are self-stripers, because that seems like a lot. This is a skein of yarn that I had from her. This is her older logo. She just got this really awesome new logo that I can't wait to get, because I don't know if I've talked about it before, probably. I save all of my yarn labels, like, ever, because I have this goal that one day when I have my own craft room and I don't have to have it all here in the living room, when kids are older and I get a whole bedroom dedicated to my craft, I'm gonna have my husband build me a table, and like a big desk table, and the top of that desk I'm gonna put all of my old yarn labels and then like Mod Podge them down and like clear coat polyurethane veneer. I don't know what you put over it. I'll figure that out when we get there, but I'm gonna put all my yarn labels, cover the desk with them. I don't know, it's always just been a cool idea of mine. So I have like little cigar boxes, and there's a little bowl right there, and there's some in these tins here. I just save all my yarn labels. I'm a weirdo, I don't know. Anyway, so this is one of her self-striping in her hank form. She also does them in a gobber ball. But that takes those are all hand wound. So this one's called Hey You're Crazy Witch, because Halloween all year long. But she did such an awesome job on this colorway. It's my favorite. I love it. So everything else I have to show you was made on my circular sock machine there. I finally got it. I ordered it in like March and I patiently waited because they are in high demand, and I got it, and I'm so excited. I made all the things so far. So I started out with making a cast-on bonnet because that's what you do, and so I made a little cast-on bonnet for it with some split rings. I don't have patterns for all this stuff. You guys know I like to figure stuff out. So this is my first practice at like a toe, and I did like a picot, a hung hem, put the rings on there. Found a video from, I want to say it's CSM Love, I think her name is Karen, did a video on how to do the split rings pretty simply, and so that was the cast on bonnet I made. And then I decided that, because my machine is a gorgeous shade of lime juice green, it's got like a gold metallic flake. Here, let me show you one of the weights. You're not going to be able to see probably the gold shimmer that this has, maybe, but it's freaking gorgeous. So my machine, I have named it Beetlejuice, and I decided that all of the things that I need for my machine needed to match, because I like that when things are themed. So I made a cast-on bonnet with the extra "There's a Beetle in My Juice." And I make my cast-on bonnets closed because some of the videos that I watched, Amy the sock maker, I think is what she's called, she uses soft weights in her thing inside the cast-on bonnet. And so I made myself some soft weights with the leftover yarn also. This is 3-pound weight, this is 1.5-pound weight. And when that's on the machine, they just go right in there and weigh it down. And so I also made myself a little koozie for my weights out of that yarn too. This was, I did a toe up method, which was fun to learn how to do. So that just has a little cover for my weights. Everything's themed. I just really like it. It's very exciting for me. So I am thankful to all of the people out there who put out videos for people to learn stuff, because they're, I couldn't just, jump right in and do it per se, because there are some things that you have to learn. You have to figure out the tension, you have to figure out the weight has to be distributed evenly. My dishwasher just kicked on. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much background noise. But anyway, so I made a pair of socks. Made these for my husband, and they are a little snug on him because, I'm still learning the rows per inch and the size, but they fit him snugly. He does like the way this fits. This is not too snug, but it's just a little snug here. And this is unicorn camo. That's what this colorway is here. And it's a little blown out. It's actually, in person, it's a touch darker than that. So I made him this pair of socks. There's a hung hem, did the heel and the toe. Now I did have issues with the toe at first because I thought that I had it down and I was going like one row too far every time, and then so I end up with this weird little like bump out here. But they still fit, they're socks. They go on his feet. And I was like, oh, I don't want to rip that out. This is the first pair of socks I made. And I have quickly learned that when you get a little better at it, you can make a pair of socks in, I don't know, depending on what goes into it, like 20 minutes or so. Now I'm not so, like, I hate frogging stuff. I hate ripping things out. But now that I've done this for about a week here, I'm like, you know, if I'd rather rip it out and it fit and be useful than not. But I made myself a pair of socks, also out of this yarn, the Unicorn Camo by Hearing Colors Dye Works, and I did it with, it's a heel tab no-show sock because I love short socks. So that's the back of the heel there, and these were really fun. So one skein of yarn, made him a pair of socks, cranking into my sock, got that whole sock done. Got this sock all the way to the toe, and I ran out of yarn. I'm like, oh, must be weird. I always make my husband a pair of socks and me a pair of socks out of a skein of yarn, completely forgetting that I usually do contrasting heels and toes and sometimes cuffs. But I mean, not bad. I ran out of yarn right there, and I got this cool, distinctively green stripe. And this green is some of the green from the, there's a beetle in my juice. And it was just a little blip. So that's fun. I've got, the next pair that I made is on a new colorway that he dyed up called Gemini. He dyed this up for me for my birthday. Well, he dyed it up for me for my birthday as well as Knittress Camo, which I don't have a skein to show you because it's sold out. But I love this cool label. I don't think you guys can see it, but hey, will you focus? Okay. There's like cool specks of color in there. It's cool. It's got his yarn information on there, handwritten by yours truly. So the next pair I did was for him, and this is a mock rib hung hem Gemini colorway. This is gunmetal blue for heels and toes, and I just love the way these turned out. This is so cool. I love that he, you know, humors me, and I'm like, you should totally dye up a Gemini colorway because I'm a Gemini, and he did, and I really like it. So this is the next pair I made, same yarn, and then I did contrasting heels and toes, and I got, you know, a fun little learning curve. There's a little hole in my heel there, vent holes as Jamie Mayfield would say. And I did, this one I did a stacked roll cuff. So it's like a roll top sock. So basically it's just stuck in it and then it rolls, just like if you just started out knitting and kept knitting and did no ribbing. And then you do some cool little like hung hemi stuff, and you'd have waste yarn connecting from here to the beginning of this next part and ripcord, and then it's easy to pull out. And so so this is some of the gunmetal that was left over, and then this color is called Sunny Yellow, and then Gemini, and got myself a pair of socks. Now the gunmetal was only two 10-gram minis, and I used them for his heels and toes, and then I did this roll top, and I ran out just right there, 2 rows. No big deal. You can't even actually see it if I didn't show it to you. So those are fun, and I'm just like having such a good time learning how to use that. There's so many other things that I want to do with it, like you can make little dolls with it, you can do socks, obviously, you could crank sock blanks, which I want to totally dye up, or get him to dye up some sock blanks like knit a sock blank tube on there and bare yarn, get him to dye it up, and then reskein it and see how that does, because the grape soda that we dyed was from a blank, and I just loved how you had the negative speckles where there was resistance. I just thought that was cool. So the next pair of socks I did is for my friend Joe. He's got a big foot like my husband, so I made him this is a Regia 4-ply Mood in this purple color, and it's the heel tab no-show, this big giant sock for his big giant foot, and I made his partner Brad a pair of socks also. It's also Regia 4-ply. I really like the way that this yarn works out on the machine. I didn't have any issues with tension, and I pretty quickly can work through, you know, this is essentially like a heel, and then the heel, and then the toe, which heels and toes are done the same way, and then you Kitchener across the top. And then I was digging through my stash and I found this skein of yarn that I had from Once Upon a Corgi, and it was called Pinstripes Are In. I think that it's a skein that I had gotten from like Get Your Christmas Wishes Granted a couple of years ago, and it sat and I had never actually worked through it. And so that first pair that I made him out of the unicorn camo he liked, but he said they were too snug. He wanted some looser fitting summer socks so that he could wear socks in the summer and they wouldn't be his feet sweat. So he wanted looser fitting summer socks. So I cranked up these, and this is a very loose gauge. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can probably see that a little bit. But these are so cool. There's like black and white with little blips of green in there. And I love the way the heels and the toes worked up, like so cool. And I went to make myself a pair out of this yarn, and so I wound the yarn onto a cone, and I did it very loosely apparently, because when I went to go knit myself a pair, the top of the cone kind of came unraveled, and I went to go grab it to fix it, knocked the cone off the back of the table, it fell out, it pulled on the sock that I had already started. I was trying to learn how to use my ribber with that sock. It got all tangled up. It's a huge tangled up mess. I just took everything off the machine, put it all in a bag, and it's something I'm going to untangle later. So I didn't get to make myself a pair of these socks yet, but I'll probably have them done next time I film, because I love the way this looks. It's just so cool. Like, I'm so excited. I'm like, my sock drawer is going to be full before I know it. So, because I had that tangly mess, I'm like, well, I'm here and I want to learn how to use my ribber. I want to not be, I was kind of scared to do it at first. So I'm like, just going to dive right in. I'm just going to do it. So I made a ribbed sock for my husband out of the leftover from Joe and Brad's socks. And I used my ribber. I did a 1x1 rib there, a little bit of a pre-heel into the heel, and then the toe, and because Joe's foot is a size 12, and so is Bobby's. I got 3 size 12 socks out of this skein of yarn, and so then the matching sock for that is the opposite color, because Bobby is awesome. I'm sorry, these were Brad's socks. These were size men's 10, and then a full size 12. And this was Joe's, which was 2 full size 12s, and almost, almost a full size, another 12 out of it. But that's how he knows they're matching. These two go together. Bobby's fun. He doesn't care. He just likes to wear the socks. And he tried these on and he's like, that's the sock. That's the sock you need to make me all the time. He likes this length. He likes the way this feels. He likes the tension in this body. So I found his perfect sock recipe for now. Because, you know, I'll learn other things, and I want to do where you rib down the top of the foot also and not the bottom. But I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. So that's all the things that I have finished right now. I do have a couple of works in progress, and I have a couple of yarns that I got in the mail, and a couple of colors to show you, as well as we're going to announce the giveaway winner at the end. But I want to show you what I am working on, because I caved to peer pressure. Well, it was actually like FOMO, not peer pressure. Nobody was like, just do it. Well, Aquila might have said, do it, just cast on. Everybody's doing the Vertices Unite, everybody. And everybody's colors are just amazing. Like Andi Knits, she's using Knittress camo in hers, and I love her bright pops of color. I love Aquila's, all the purples and the pinks, and how she did the edging. And I think her name is Lisa over at 72 Stitches. She used a bunch of Felici scraps, and all of them look so amazing. Stephen West is like a genius when it comes to knitting. He figures out how to do these pieces and have them put together. And you know, I gotta tell you, when I first started the Vertices Unite, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go together. How am I gonna know what side to pick up? How am I gonna know where to do it? You know, I was overthinking things. And then when it comes down to it, it's just, everything is explained so well, and it picks up so beautifully. So I cast on for the Vertices Unite in all Hearing Colors dye works, because Bobby's like, I want one of those, because he saw Chip and Aaron, and he's like, you're gonna make me one of those, right? And I'm like, no, I don't do shawls. I don't like to do shawls. I like to do sweaters. That's what I like to do. And so he's asking me to do it. You know, Aquila finished hers. I saw Chevy cast on one. I'm just like, man, I should really do it. And I was finally like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And so I grabbed a skein of this was Knittress camo. Now it's just the cake, so you couldn't see the awesomeness it was in a skein because it's sold out. And then I cast on, and I used grape soda. So these two get to be together in there. And then I used Hammock Hangout and Galaxy, which is a new colorway that Bobby dyed up. Here it is in Hank form, and it's only slightly blown out. It's very purple and blue and moody with black speckles and awesomeness. So those two get to be in there. And then Tiger Lily, because I love this yarn. My mom has tiger lilies that bloom every year on my birthday in her yard, and this reminds me of them. So it took me forever to get through section 1. It seemed like it, not really, but it took me a long time. And then my sock machine got here, so then I kind of abandoned this for a little while, and then I picked it back up just yesterday. So here is the front side, and this is part of section 1. And there's grape soda and Knittress camo in there together. I love that bright green and all the purple and the pink. And then here's my section 2 with Hammock Hangout and Galaxy striping together. And then I started section 3, which is the Tiger Lily, which it's gonna pool eventually when it gets bigger, but it's kind of doing its own stripy thing right now, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, everybody's right. Section 1 takes the longest because I did section 2 like last night, and then I also got into section 3. So it It's so awesome. I'm not looking forward to that bind off because, you know, Aquila got me hooked with her little 2-color I-cord bind off on that and kind of jealous of it slash inspired. So I'm gonna do that. So Stephen West is a genius. I gotta say, like, I just love even the back side of this, how when you pick it up, it's just a clean little stitch back there. Even the back side is pretty. They blend together a little more and they're not so poppy stripy, so like you can see the difference there. But I just love it. I'm excited. I haven't been excited about a shawl in a minute. So put those guys in there, and the Fiber Hustle guys got Stephen West to do a video for them, and that also cinched the deal for me to cast this on, because he explained like how to pick out your colors, and it was like, you know, the first 2 colors are like going on a date, and then the second 2 colors are like the chaperone to the date, and then the 3rd color is like the entertainment. So it's kind of cool. And I love that Chevy had a fun little, like, her colorways. I can't remember exactly, but like, go watch her episode. She talks about it, how her entertainment actually happened to work out. I think that it was, you know, somebody who could be an entertainer. So then the next thing I'm working on, I cast on, I want to say it's Chasing Rabbits Fiber Arts or something like that. I don't remember her name exactly. So if you follow the hashtag on Instagram called Assigned Pooling, I've kind of been obsessed with it a little bit. I didn't buy her pattern at first. I just figured out how to, because you're just working the stitches of a certain color in a skein. So like, if you get a, like Tiger Lily was a skein that had purple on one side and then it was orange everywhere else, and you would just work the one color as a little grouped stitch. So I figured it out. I cast on something myself. I then did go purchase the patterns because I do want to support her idea. So I purchased the pattern even though I'm not following said pattern. So I cast on in Gamora Nebula and chose to do wherever the purple stitches are. I did these little cluster stitches, and then you knit just the other color. So you can do this with a multiple skein of yarn. Just whenever you come to a certain color, you do a little cluster stitch. There's several ways you can do the cluster stitch. There's a couple different types of stitch to do it, which is another reason why I purchased her pattern, because I think I got them like together for a deal. I will really try to remember to link it down below. I don't always, and if I don't, seriously just message me and I will send you the information. And so like this one is like a cool little cluster stitch. They kind of stacked on top of each other in the next row. And I'm turning this into, it'll just be like a little cowl. And so once I joined in the round, all of these purples started stacking up on each other like every single time. So I threw a couple of little green ones in there to adjust, to shift where the purple would pool. So, because you see, like they were right on top of each other every time as I was turning around. So I threw a couple of green ones in there. There might be like a little blue one in there, just to shift where the colors were pooling. And I just really like this. Kind of reminds me of like, you know, like barnacles underneath the sea, like blue-green water, some cool little barnacles. So I just really, really like this. I'm almost close to being done. I've got like a couple more inches to go before I'll call it quits. But you know, I'm like I just squirrel out over something new every time I see it. So that is, this little stitch caught my attention, and I have some ideas I would like to do eventually. It's not in the near future. I'd like to do a cool sweater where you had all the skeins of yarn enough to do a sweater, and you chose the color and you just did little blips, cool stitches all over the whole sweater. I know somebody else has done it, and I kind of like the way that it looked. So that'll be something that I do down the road. And then another thing that I am working on is called the Rogue River Cowl, and it is by, I want to say, Kay Hopkins. Let's see, is my pattern in here? Yes, Kay Hopkins, and she's an Oregon local. And let's take it out of the plastic so it's not shiny. So this is the Rogue River Cowl, and actually a customer had brought in one of her patterns called Strawberry Fields into work, and I was just like, oh, that's right up my alley, because it looks like you're wearing a shawl, but it's not. It's a cowl, which is, I can get down with that, because I'm not knitting an entire cowl, I mean an entire shawl that's gonna probably fall off my shoulders if I don't wear it right. So I cast that on, and I'm using Primrose Homestead Sport and their Rose Sport to make mine, but it's not very big at all. It's just a little start of a project. And this is just a fun little mindless knit, essentially, other than carrying the colors up. It's just like the increase. And there's some cool shaping that'll happen like when you sew it together. So that's what I've been working on, more or less. I've got, you know, still have all my sweaters on the needles, and they haven't grown at all because I got a sock machine. But let's talk about Here in Colors Dye Works, because I showed you that he dyed Gemini, and that's still in his shop, and then he dyed Galaxy, but there's one more colorway that still has one left, and it is called Umpqua, which is named after the main river that runs through our town. And let's take this off here and show you. It's just so pretty. If you lived here and you saw the river, and there's like all kinds of rocks that stick up through it, and it's always, you know, there's like usually trees on the side of the river. We've got lots of pine trees. Like, this just really looks accurate to that river. Like, you got the dark little rocks popping up through the rushing water, and there's little bits of, you know, froth, foam, white water. He's whispered to me over there because he's gonna draw the winner for the giveaway. But there's this skein here. It's so beautiful. You know, I don't usually go for colors like this, but my eyes would look really pretty with this blue, even though my eyes are like blue-green. Anyway, he's just been having fun. We got some big things in the works, so keep an eye out for future yarns popping up. Or he's trying to get like everything together so that he can have more stuff for you guys. But because he's right here patiently waiting to draw the winner for the giveaway, I have all the names in here, old-fashioned, you know. So come on over and pick the winner for the giveaway for one of your skeins of yarn. Let's see, who's the winner? That's so funny. I almost did not put this in there. This is my mom, Amber Chains, who had commented. I almost didn't put it in there because it's my mom and she doesn't actually knit or crochet, and I'm sure she would tell me to pass it on to somebody else. And if not, I'll just make her something out of a skein of yarn. But so pick a different one. Ophelia Bells. So, Ophelia, if you would send me a message on Instagram, I do believe we follow each other on Instagram. Just send me a message on Instagram and give me your mailing address because you are the winner and you won a skein of Evening at the Coast. Oh, we grab it so I can show it. And yay! So happy to send this your way. So you won a skein of Evening at the Coast. So awesome. The only other thing that I have to show you, really, I just wanted to show you a couple of skeins of yarn that I got. I don't usually show off, but I really got to show off these people's yarn because they're amazing makers. So I got a skein of yarn from Shaylee at Hens and Chicks Woolery, and I gotta say, I just really love this gal because she is just as into all of the fiber things, crafts, and hobbies as I am. Actually, I would say more because she has a flatbed knitting machine and I don't. But I'm going to say right now that's not in my future, but you never know. So I got this lovely skein of zebra yarn from her. When I saw her dyeing this on her Instagram, I knew that it was something I needed to have in my life. And she's so awesome. She made, let's see, is it going to focus? She made this cute little stitch marker and it says Andi the Knittress, and this colorway on this sock and this stitch marker matches my beetle. There's a beetle in my juice colorway. I don't have a fancy schmancy camera. It's just my phone, so it's probably not going to focus right. Anyway, I had to snag that from her because she's awesome. And the other thing that I got was I ordered some OBX rum drops from Knitty Bow Fiber Co. because I just really, really like the colors in here. He dyed this when he was camping. Like, he dyed yarn when he was on vacation. How cool is that? He just must really enjoy it to do something like that when you're on vacation. And I just love John and Aquila. They're really awesome people. Like, they just reached 1,000 subscribers. Congratulations to them. That's super awesome. And John dyed this colorway and it's called Bobby Girl. And this is on alpaca. It's alpaca, it's superwash alpaca nylon, and it is so soft. It's like super duper soft. I love it. And he had a really cool story about, you know, when he learned about Stonewall. And it's always fun to hear, like, you know, things about people's lives, like the stories that they learn, and just a little bit of a piece of them that they decide to share with you. I just think that's pretty awesome. And so I really love this. And I have seen this cranked into socks because Aquila cranked some, and I'm just gonna have to make us some super soft, squishy alpaca socks out of Bobby Girl. I'm a Bobby girl in a Bobby world. So that's really awesome. John sent this for him, for Bobby, because those two, they could totally be bros if we like lived closer to each other. What's messed up is we totally used to live in Delaware, which was like right around the corner from where they're at. And I didn't find out about them until we lived in Oregon. So we could have totally been friends in real life. But instead we're internet friends. So, that's all I really got for today. Not a whole lot going on here, besides it's really effing hot. So I'm gonna get off here, so everybody can stop hiding in their rooms and come out and enjoy the cool air conditioner. But in the meantime, everybody just take it one stitch at a time, because that's really all you can do.